This is Gary Atensi with CNTV, and today we're in Greenwood Village, Colorado. I'm here with Thomas Pollart and Miller, LLC. Since 2003, TPM has been your legal service provider and partner of choice for civil litigation for clients across Colorado and all along the Front Range. I'm here with Douglas Thomas. Thanks for joining us. Let's start off a little bit about yourself. You began the organization in 2003, but really since 1993, you've been involved in this industry, not only representing clients in local court, but as well as civil federal court. Tell me how it is you got involved doing this.
So I have been licensed to practice law in the state of Colorado since 1993. I went to the University of Denver Law School and never left the Denver area. So I've been involved in legal services and being an attorney since 1993 and here in the Denver metro area since 1990.
Interesting. Basically, on any given day, the event of hiring and firing takes place in many companies. Basically, you have an individual who is dependent upon a company for their livelihood. Yet at the same time, we have companies that are dependent on staying in business so they can provide employment for folks. Really, when a dispute arises out of those two parties, that really is what your organization exists for, I imagine.
That's true. And again, it is human resources. It's not perfection resources. And because human beings are involved, mistakes are often made, and people often perceive the exact same events very differently, which often leads to the need for attorneys first proactively to avoid litigation and lawsuits, and secondarily, when things don't go perfectly well or parties misunderstand one another, to clean up afterwards.
Let's discuss some of the specialties, the areas that you have here under one roof. You've got 30-plus attorneys available here. One of the areas, I know as a business owner, rising costs are something that we deal with all the time of being in business. One of those areas that seems to change all the time is workman's comp. Why is it important for organizations to choose a team that is not only experienced but really can stay abreast of all the changes in that particular area?
Well, workers' compensation is very complicated. It's a very complicated area of the law. It's not simple. It's not easy for people to pick it up. In fact, some of the personal injury attorneys often advertise that there's thousands of regulations that affect workers' comp. That's actually true. And because of that, it's very important that you have a group of attorneys that stay up with the law, stay up with the regulations, and understand all the dynamics for workers' compensation. It is something that all employers in the state of Colorado are required to have, so it's required insurance coverage. It's there to protect both the employer and the employee. And again, it is a very complicated area of the law, and it's very important that the attorneys stay up on that.
You have a 50-plus member team here of professionals. Some of those have actually even shaped the law, not only in publications of cases that you have out there, but actually of the writing of the law. That has to be something you're kind of proud of here to have.
That is something we're proud of, and it's something that we strive for all our attorneys to be involved in. We want all our attorneys to be excellent. We want them to be the leaders in their profession. We want them to publish articles in Law Week Colorado, in the Colorado Lawyer. We want them to have precedent-setting cases at the Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court. I mean, we push all our lawyers to be the best at what they do and to be recognized at the best of what they do.
Why isn't an aggressive approach when defending these claims important, or just as important as basically claim prevention, like you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, well, if I had to choose, of course, claim prevention is the best. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, as the old saying goes, and that's true with law as well. So prevention is the best. If we can be in front of the claims and prevent the claims in the first place, that's best. If not, I'd like to say we take an aggressive approach, but it's aggressive approach tempered with, I think, thoughtfulness and analytics. It's not the best to always run into court on every single case. It's that experience tempers that aggression, and experience gives you the right amount of prevention, the right amount of litigation, and the right amount of settlement. So I think it's all of the above that's combined that makes us different from other law firms.
So quite a few factors at play, quite a few factors when you're considering someone who is injured on the job, whether they're injured on the premises or maybe out in the parking lot, many times during recreation or outing, or even pre-existing conditions. These are all areas that you're able to really dig in deep and find out what happened.
That's true, and in fact, many of our attorneys have written on the topics you just mentioned. One of our attorneys was recently published about how recreational activities, the company softball team, the company baseball team, the bowling league, how that dovetails in with workers' compensation. It's an interesting area of the law, and one that occurs especially as summer is rolling around right now. The company picnics, the company softball, things like that, often implicate workers' compensation when somebody gets hurt sliding into home base to win the company title.
Not necessarily on the contract what they signed up for. No. As far as work goes. Medical bills, loss of wages, even people want to be taken care of at home, cut the grass, these type of things. These costs can add up rather quickly. Why is it important for companies to choose a team that can make sure that these are warranted claims?
Well, I think, again, overall, workers' compensation costs per claim have been rising over the last 10 years. And so in order to mitigate those rising costs, you need a good team of attorneys as well as an experienced team of insurance professionals. I think the entire team behind you is what's important to keep those rising costs in line.
We hear in the media for the past 2-3 years, if not longer, insurance. It seems to be getting more and more complicated. You have clients that are basically insurance clients as well as the self-insured employers. Tell me a little bit about the differences between those two.
So for fairly large employers, as they continue to grow, the cost of insurance to insure for workers' compensation becomes prohibitive. And one way to keep their costs in line is to essentially self-insure, meaning that they pay the claims out of their own pocket. Most companies who self-insure also have some excess insurance, so if a claim is too large or a combined number of claims are large, then insurance steps in to cover that. But it's a way for companies, essentially for companies with more than 400 to 500 employees, to reduce their overall costs of workers' compensation by self-insuring for part of it or paying a part of their claims out of their own pocket and then insuring above a certain level. It's simply one technique that companies can use to keep their overall costs in line.
Liability defense is something vital when it comes to even a simple slip and fall on the workplace, an auto accident, possibly a product that goes bad, or even wrongful death. Are these all areas that your team is able to provide defense for?
They are all areas that our law firm defends claims for. For the most part, we've developed a good expertise in the area of the slip and falls. Most of the grocery stores and the department stores in the metro area come to us for defense of those types of claims. Again, the stores have become more sophisticated over time and expect a higher level of service from their attorneys over time, and we've been able to provide that.
Resources that are spent when someone else is at fault, or basically somebody didn't keep up their end of the situation. Tell me what the subrogation and recovery is. Explain that for the viewers.
So that's subrogation and recovery is a fancy way of saying that when one individual pays out a claim because of the fault of a third party, then we often pay the claim, go after the third party. So an example of that is that you're in a work-related auto accident that's no fault of your own. The workers' comp insurance carrier will pay for the employee's wage loss benefits, medical benefits, and things of that nature. In return, we will go after the party at fault that caused the auto accident in the first place to recover the cost of that claim. So it's one way of making sure that the injured worker gets taken care of under the Workers' Compensation Act, but the person who is truly at fault for the injury ends up paying through a liability claim, and we can get the money back for that workers' compensation insurer or self-insured employer.
Employment law seems to be more and more complex. I mean, you're able to help these businesses navigate through complex provisions like that of the American Disability Act, age discrimination, contract disputes. Those are quite a few areas that are all taken care of here.
That's true, and I do think employment law is becoming more complicated. There's not a day that doesn't go by that there's not a decision that affects employers, as well as the Equal Opportunity Commission itself is promulgating rules and regulations all the time that affect employers. So again, being able to keep up on that law and provide services to businesses, especially I think small businesses that may not be very sophisticated, that may not have that human resource department behind them, that's something that I think we're fairly good at.
Interesting. Your firm here, basically, you're talking about 55 plus legal professionals able to help. Obviously, the firm is big enough to handle almost any case out there, yet at the same time, like you said, is a personal touch, able to really custom tailor it towards each client, as well as many budgets.
Yeah, as I like to say, really, in some ways, we're just customer service representatives who happen to practice law. It really is our first and foremost job to service the client and the client's needs, whatever that may be. Sometimes the client may need simply a very simple legal task, or it may be very complicated, but whatever the client needs, it's our job to provide that service to them. So we're really just customer service representatives who happen to practice law.
Wonderful. Viewers, take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is their website. On the website, you can learn more about the areas of practice that they're able to provide. You can also take a look at many of the bios of the attorneys they have on here as well. This was a company that began back in 2003, basically founded by an individual here who began back in 1993. You can check out, they have many resources right there online. You can take a look at, they've got news links right there, let you know of some of the cases, what the outcomes were. You can check all that there as well. Let me ask you, Douglas, business, we've talked a lot about business law. You've also expanded out into family law and even criminal law. Tell me a little bit about that as well.
Yes, we have. We started 5 years ago a family law practice. It uses the trade name Divorce Matters. We did that so the attorneys in that practice area could focus solely on family law. They could dedicate their profession to doing family law, and that's what we've done. I think that group, that part of Thomas, Pollart, and Miller, acts really as a good, close-knit team. They know family law inside and out. They're all family law practitioners, and I think it's been a good addition to our firm, as well as a good service that we provide to individuals in need.
A lawyer who happens to be great at customer service and basically employs many people with that same philosophy. Has this been rewarding for you, looking back close to a quarter of a century?
It has been rewarding. Obviously, it's been very fulfilling for me to see the firm grow and to see the firm be able to service many clients and to be able to actually help people, especially people at a time of need. Sometimes we forget that companies are people too, and they have needs as well, and then we can now serve individuals for their needs.
Wonderful. Viewers, last time, take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. You're going to see their contact information right there. Regardless if you're an organization, a corporation, or something as small as a business or a landlord, they can basically help you out there when it comes to navigating any legal needs you may have. As well as individuals, they also have the division of that of divorce matters. Check out their contact information on the bottom of the screen. This is an organization that began back in 2003, located right here in Greenwood Village, Colorado. This is Gary Atensu with CNTV. And if you don't know, now you know.